All right, so we're gonna do a little recap of our first track day. First and foremost, that was probably one of the funnest, incredible experiences I've ever had. Uh, I've never pushed my car like that before. It was something completely new to me, and I'm so grateful for being able to experience it and have a great time doing it as well. If you haven't been to the track before, it'll really put your driving skills to the test. If you're a first timer, they'll usually put you with an instructor, and they'll kind of guide you. And in my case, I let my instructor drive my car, and once we were hitting those turns at like 40 plus miles per hour, I was just flabbergasted. I was just floored. Like I didn't know that's how you were supposed to drive. And also, he mentioned that he wasn't even pushing the car that much. So that's kind of wild. So yeah, so I finally got to drive a little bit more. My instructor also kind of explained to me, how the kind of things that you should listen for and the kind of things that you should smell. Like, for example, brakes. Brakes do have a very certain kind of smell. Once you start to smell them, you might, want to ease off on the brakes. That kind of lets you know that they're kind of at their limit. And another part of my experience was not really kind of testing the grip of my wheels or the handling of my car. So my instructor basically got to the point of where the wheels were squealing, and he's kind of saying, this is kind of like the limit at what they're at. And that moment, he was pushing the car more than I ever have. But all in all, the whole experience was great. It was awesome. Learning the way to drive on the track and the rules and everything. It was great. The one upgrade I do need for sure are better brake pads. I went with just some semi-metallic pads in the end, and yeah, my wheel got covered in brake dust. Basically, turned my silver wheels into gunmetal. So at about the fourth session of the day, I was really feeling that heat soak on the brakes. The pedal was going all the way down after the third session. Trying to get the brakes to cool off. So in those fourth and fifth sessions, I really had to kind of really ease up on the laps and just not trying to use my brakes as much because my whole brake system was pretty much toast. Even with the Moto RBF 660, I don't think I don't think we can handle all the heat from the semi-metallic pads. So yeah, we're definitely gonna need some semi-track pads. The only downside about the Rally Art is that there really aren't any options for track pads. The only thing I could really find by myself were EBC, what was it, SR11s, 21s, and the EBC yellow stuff. But after doing some research, you probably don't want to run EBC yellow stuff on the front. They're not really meant to handle the track that well. Luckily on Reddit, somebody was able to give me a link for some race pads from a company called Porterfield. And they actually have specific ones for the Rally Art. And you could see the diagrams of, the measurements and the shape and everything. So they actually do match. And from what I saw, they're supposed to be really good. Specifically, their R4 models. So what I'm going to end up doing is most likely buying those Porterfield R4s for the front brake calipers. And then they make some street ones that are actually rated a little more higher than OEM semi-metallics. And those are the RS4s. And that's what I'm going to end up using on the rear calipers. Regarding the suspension, we did get a little bit of understeer when making those turns on the track. So I think what we're going to end up doing is probably setting our sway bar just a little bit tighter on the rear, since we have the white line sway bar in the back now. Hopefully the sway bar being stiffer will give us a little bit better ability to make those turns at the corners of the track. And then I feel like we could probably add, maybe another half degree of camber up in the front. I think right now it's at around -2 degrees on obviously the both wheels. So we might make it a little bit more negative and, hopefully help a lot too with handling. And then of course here now, I was just kind of checking to see the undercarriage. Everything looks fine. I'm not seeing anything crazy. We still got that leak on the corner of the oil pan for a goofed up gasket. I want to look and see if maybe there's some areas we could probably seal up a little bit better. Really want to try to avoid trying to do that all over again. One of the things that I'm glad that we did before we actually took it out to the track was get an SST teach-in for the transmission, as well as get S Sport mode for the transmission, which gave us a lot more clutch pressure. which I felt was really needed when we were at the track, and it did deliver. It worked very, very well. But since the SST transmission is probably one of the most critical things about the car, I'm really going to look into getting a heat sump for the SST. It's probably going to be the Datsun. You definitely want to keep the transmission at the optimal temperature, especially this one. And I really want to get an engine oil cooler. So probably going to look at getting that too. My biggest thing is making sure that the car runs at optimal temperatures and is being cooled how it should, you know, to be able to prolong the life of the engine and the components all around it, and, you know, keep racing this bad girl. But yeah, that was my little update. So yeah, more exciting stuff for the Rally Far here in the near future. We're gonna look at messing with our ECU here pretty soon, so we can be able to read, you know, things that are going on in the car. You know, get logs of everything. And we got this bad boy, this is High Flow Cat from Ultimate Racing. So, you know, I'm excited about this because this will be our introduction to get more power into our little turbo and our 4B11 engine. So until the next one, thanks for watching.